I'm Koen Vosters. I'm a customer success manager at Microsoft. And this video is here basically because I'm getting quite a lot of requests and also all across Western Europe with regards on how to set up a virtual session environment on top of the Teams platform. The whole idea of what we will be building here is actually making a virtual event. Yeah. It will not be a complete virtual event, including the registration, etc., but more on, okay, how are we hosting the different sessions? How do we leverage the Teams platform? How do we use the power of SharePoint Online, the power of Teams, and the power of PowerApps? Yeah, that sounded nice. Together to have put something in place that is quite easy to build, easy to maintain, and can be used and reused within the organization to have multiple events. Okay, what will we be building today? So we basically have a Power App. When we click on the sessions link, we will get a view on the different sessions that are available. Yeah, we can filter on a session. First line, for instance. When we select the session, we can view the session, which basically will bring us to a Teams meeting. I will click on View Session. So I will not open the Teams meeting as I'm also recording with Teams. Then I would basically be putting this presentation on hold and be joining that meeting. So let's not do that one. Good. Different things. So here we have one where we have a PowerPoint available. So then we get a link to the PowerPoint file. We can watch the video because the session already took place. Now I just put Microsoft.com there. We can, of course, just put a link to a video on Microsoft Stream to show the recording after the meeting. Yeah, as we know, when we have the meeting in Teams and we record the meeting, it will get stored on Microsoft Stream by default. Good. So this is it. There's really nothing more to a virtual event. You can, of course, go further. Instead of having this sessions button, add multiple buttons where for each day you link to a different subset of the data and just filter on that specific day. So you can customize this to your own needs. I kept it simple so that for most people it will become clear that it's easy to build and we can easily set this up. Where is this data coming from? Data is coming from a SharePoint list. And there's a specific reason why I'm using a SharePoint list and not some database system. Good. So here I just have out of the box event demo site. The first reason why we have a list on top of the SharePoint platform is that you can actually build an entire SharePoint site across your event. Yeah, at that point you are able to have this event, have a nice page, have all the registration information, things that are important when joining the sessions, etc., in one container, opening it up to your entire organization. The second reason is that the sessions are also just stored in a SharePoint list, and we can have things like search go over those so that in the future, 1 year or half a year after the event, when you want to look for a specific session, you can easily find it back on top of the Office 365 platform. Good. I'm not going to explain how to build a list with all the different columns. How do you quickly do it? I'll still show a little bit. You go to site contents, which basically shows everything that's in that site. You click on new list, and then you will get a SharePoint list. What will you get at that point? You will get a list with a title and then the modified by, yeah, they're not shown by default, but the modified by, created by fields, etc. Yeah. I will go to the list settings here so you can see the different columns. So this title column, as I explained, and then modified, oops, these four are also by default in your SharePoint list. So what did I add? I added a speaker, which is a person or a group within the list. Important to know is that if you select this kind of field, it means that it is linked to an account on your Office 365 platform. Therefore, if you have a lot of external speakers, it might be easier to just make it a single line of text at that point. Yeah. Doesn't really change that much for the Power App anyway. And then of course a topic. This is more a standard topic. So if we look at Microsoft events, there's a topic like, okay, this is SharePoint Online, this is Teams, this is Power Apps. So just like the different high level topics. And then a session type. Is it a workshop? Is it a live session? Is it a breakout session? Is it pre-recorded? These kind of things. Description explains, of course, what a session is about. Session needs to take place at a certain date and time. And then the important things are coming up. So the session link is basically a link to the Teams meeting. So we need to pre-create all different Teams meetings to host the sessions, and then we can link through the Power App towards the team sessions as I showed before. An image link, this is more nice to have because I wanted it to look a bit nicer. A recording link to the stream that contains the session after it has been given, and then of course a link to the PowerPoint or the PDF of the presentation. Yeah, and that's really all there is to it, to have a lightweight event solution put into place. Yeah, if we go to take a look at the data that I have in there. So I have working with Power Apps, getting the most out of Teams, first line workers, since yeah, those things are really kicking off right now. And yes, this one I just created it for the video. This is, I can basically says that this is a new item recently created with some content, an image, a link to the meeting, etc. Yeah. So adding new session. Yeah, I either click on new and fill in the values, or I do a quick edit and then PowerPoint style. Yes, I'm not going to go feedback right now, even though I love this thing. So here, just filling in the data in an Excel way, and you're good to go. Okay, good. And that's what we need as a data source. So I'm going to close this one. You've seen it. I have a nice one here, which is called to steal from. So if you would go to your list, sessions, and click here, create an app, then you will get the same result as I'm getting here in to steal from. Yeah, why is it called to steal from? Because I wanted to check out some things, how they did it. So this looks a bit similar to what I've built when you click on it. However, it's not that nice. Yeah, it's also the phone layout, and I really wanted to have this tablet layout. And by default for the SharePoint list, will take the phone layout. But as everyone's working from home, I think a tablet layout is what we need right now. You could definitely just also build this for the phone. The video that I use, you can reuse it also to build it on the phone layout. Good. So just so you know, if you really want to have it out there in 2 seconds, then yeah, you can do it like this. And joining this link will have the same behavior, opening the Teams meeting. Good. I want, of course, it's something a bit nicer with the buttons, etc. To be clear, I am not a Power App specialist at all, even though I used to be technical in a previous role. I'm definitely not a SharePoint. I am a SharePoint specialist, but not a Power App specialist. Good. So we're going to build a new app. We're going to select Canvas. And I'm just going to take a blank app, yeah, so that I can take the tablet layout. There we go. Yeah, you can still show this to me. Good. So we have 2 screens. We have the welcome screen. So let's rename this one. And then we have a second screen, and the second screen is basically our session screen. How do we do it? We click on new screen. I'm going to take a blank one. This gives me more control, even though I'm not a control freak. So sessions overview. There we go. Good. So we have our screens. That's one step. So the first one is to make a nice one. So here we can just add an image in the background. I'll take the one that yes, one of my colleagues is into space. So no, let's not take that one, because then I have to figure out how to probably get it up there. All right, let's put the boat. Yes, no, let's take the one I had. Always freewheeling while I'm recording, not the best thing to do. This one I know aligns nicely. Good. So, hey, this already looks pretty close to what we had. So I'm just gonna add a button. Yeah, size matters, they say. And just call it sessions. And that's it. Now, there's one more thing we need to do. When we click the button, we basically need to go to this screen. Yeah. How do we do that? Here we have a function. Yeah. So, and by default, the function is on select. Yeah. So you have a list here, but forget it because it will complicate things. You will see a few things of that list in the presentation. So basically here we just want to go to another screen. So we have this nice function called navigate, and then it will always say, oh, I need a screen here. So it will show the two screens that I have. So it will give me the sessions overview screen. I think you need a semicolon. I'm not even sure, but I'm so used to doing that let's just put it there. Good. We're going to change the size a bit to 23, then it's a bit bigger, and that's it. So let's see if this works. How do we check this? Very easy. We click on the play button. We get the Power App. You get this close icon here so that you can close the play afterwards. We click on the session. Yay, we got a white screen. It's working. Okay, good. Now let's really make it work. Yeah. Now, first of all, we need to connect this Power App to the data, and the data that we have is stored in SharePoint. So connecting to data implies using a connector, and we will be using the SharePoint connector. So what do I need to do? I need to add a connection, connect directly. Yeah, connect using on-premise data gateway allows you to actually connect to an on-prem environment. Connect. And then fill in the site. Now, I already had two connectors there. So if you already have the connector there, you don't need to do this. I'm just doing this for the purpose of the video. So I have an event demo here. And this event demo is actually the site, yeah, that I'm connecting to. And then it says, okay, you have a documents and a sessions list. So I will take this list and I will say connect. And now we see that in our data sources within your app, we now have the sessions there. So now we know, okay, our app is connected to the SharePoint list, but we still can't really see anything about it. So let's close this one down. Let's close this one down. All right, good. So we're going to insert something from the gallery, and it's a vertical. Yeah. Bam. So lorem ipsum blah, blah, blah. Just drag it down. There we go. Now we need to specify to which data this should connect. So here we're just going to select sessions. Bam. It's so nice when it works, right? Here we already have the different sessions available within our list because it's connected to the sessions. Yeah. Good. So we're already getting quite close. The second part that we need to do, of course, is see the data because, yeah, I mean, this says something, but we don't see everything. Yeah. So we have a display form and an edit form. Now, since the whole goal of the app is to manage everything on the SharePoint list and then have the display just for the end user, we're just going to add the display. There we go. Check. All right. Now here also we need to connect this to data, and we will connect this to sessions as well. I need to double click, or just do it here. There we go. Now we have to wait a bit because PowerApps is smart. So it's going to connect to the data source, and then it's going to take a look and see, oh, nice. Those are the different fields that I have within that list. So I assume that I need to show these things. Yeah. And then things get a bit more, let's say it, complicated to get this to work. And complicated, it's not even that complicated, but it's no more click and it will work. Good. So let's go to our tree view. Let's move this one down again. So let's first start with some nice names. Yeah, this button, I don't really care. So this is our session gallery. And this is our rename session detail. Yeah. All right. Why do I stress to do this renaming? Because, yeah, after a while, if you have a lot of screens, things get kind of messy. Here it's still manageable. Good. Now, in advanced, we have to specify what item do I actually want to show here, because the detail screen is not just the data source, but it's also a specific item of that data source that we will be showing. So there we're just going to take our session gallery. See, and that's why it becomes nice. And then select it. Whoops, there we go. And we already have the full detail. Do you remember this stolen app that I showed? Basically, this looks quite similar. Yeah, now, and really now you have to pay a lot of attention. So if you were falling asleep a bit, pay attention. Oh, file, save. You really have to remember that. So I'm going to call this event demo tablet video. Save. Okay, all things are saved. Good. So there we go. That's good. And run this thing just as a test. We click on sessions. We see all our PowerApps. We select a different one. And everything's working fine. As you see here, we have a recording link and a presentation link. So based on that information, of course, we need the Power App to change a bit. Yeah. Now, there are some things where basically you feel like, okay, this is not really nice. Yeah. Like here, this description, it's not really nice. This is not how we want to be seeing this. Yeah. So let's start with cleaning that one up. Now this one is a locked field. Yeah. So here it will say parent by default, but I can't really do that. Yeah. Why? This is locked by default because this is generated by PowerApps, but I can unlock this thing. Yeah. So I'm going to unlock it. And here we have parental default. Yeah, and parental default, don't go too deep into it, but basically here, when you're selecting one, you're changing the parental default. Yeah, so this value comes from the parental default, but it looks like crap, this text. So luckily there is some very nice function that we have, which is called plain text. Oh, so we're just gonna take our text. Oh yes, plain text. There we go. I don't need it. So there we go. And now we see that we have a nice text. Good. So we are again getting closer and closer. The one thing I will not show in this video is how to realign this, because then that's not really the purpose. Take into account that basically when you go to the session detail, go to the properties, you have multiple columns. You can play around with snap to column to actually snap them within the different columns based on making sure that there's the same amount. Okay, good. So the one thing that really still remains for us to do is to make sure that we can join a session, watch the video, or download the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. So the first thing that we will be doing is basically session link. Yeah. We will be building a button. Yeah. Now we cannot just delete it because we need the value. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it invisible. Recording link, Same thing, I'm gonna make it invisible. Presentation link, same thing. I'm going to make it invisible. Good, yeah. There we go. So now we need to add a button, yeah. So 2 buttons actually. So I'm going to add a button. There we go. Now I did try to actually put this under the session details, but this gave me nothing but problems. So we're just not going to do that. So I'm going to rename that, and I'm going to call that button btn presentation. No, yeah, file. There we go. So this one should go to the left, and then I'm going to add another button here. Make it the same size. So this one I can just go. And this one I will call there we go. Oh. So I'll put 3 dots here because this needs to change based on the value. So let's rename this one. That's what I wanted to do. Button Teams link. Good. All right. So now we're visually pretty close, apart from the filtering, which we will do in the end. We have our 2 buttons. Yeah. Now the buttons, there's something special about them because we actually want them to become visible and invisible based on a certain value. Yeah. So our PowerPoint button, we only want this to be visible when we have a presentation link. So a link to the presentation. Yeah. Now we have on select, which is one function, but we also here in this list have a visible. And a visible basically is true or false. Yeah. So what we want to be saying is that we do not want it to visible if we don't have a presentation link. Yeah. So if it isn't blank, then I want you to show it. Yeah. So visible equals means when do you want me to show it? I want you to show it when the presentation link is not blank. Now, how do we get to this presentation link? It's actually quite easy. We here have our presentation link data card 1. So we're just going to fill here in presentation. There we go. And then we have a default value. All right. And the nice thing about PowerApps is when you fill that in is that for what you've basically selected, you can see the value. Yeah, so working with PowerApps, we actually do have a value. So this one should show, and the other ones, apart from one, I believe, should not show. So let's just get rid of this. Now let's just save to be sure. Save. Go back, run it. So, and there we see that, yeah, the PowerPoint button is hiding and showing based on a different value. Okay, good. So we got that thing working. Now we have a second thing that basically is that needs to happen, and that is that when we select something, we basically need to be able to either say that the text needs to be to view the session, and we have to basically show a different text based on a certain value. Yeah. Now this is a bit more complex in a sense that we then need to work with variables. Yeah, and a variable is something that you need to see as a value that depends on something that is existing within the app as some other data source. Yeah, so it's a small data source with different values in them. So I'm just going to call this session. So if you want to put text, then it's like this. So I'm just going to call this session button variable. So that's fine. That's no problem. But no, I don't actually need to give this 3 points. I need to go to advanced, and there in text I need to put all right. Good. Now, of course, we need to put that variable. Yeah, so don't worry about the red X right now. That's no problem. So basically, based on the value, we will need to have to put a value. Good. Where do we do that? So when we are in this list, so we have a function on select. No, here we have our button. Let me quickly go to my button. Where is it here? Oh, sorry. It's not in detail, it's in the gallery. Next arrow, there we go. So there it's a select parent. So now I don't want to only select the parent. I will basically set a value. So I will basically say set, and then I will, here you see name of the global variable. Now I kind of forgot what I called it here. So there we go. And nice thing is that now I can just go back here, and we're going to first set this equal to view session. Oh, cool. Good. So let's run this thing. View session. There you go. Good. Okay. So now we have set this to view session, but there's more that we want to be happening. Yeah. So this one basically stays there. So we go back to the button, because it depends on a certain value whether we want to view the session or if we want to watch the video. Yeah. And where it depends on is whether there is a recording available or not. How do we do that? Basically, we're going to add an if here, and if basically means if a certain condition is true, then do the following. Yeah, logical test, true, and if it's false. So we're basically going to check is blank. Remember that function. And now, instead of looking at the presentation, we're now looking at the recording link. Data card, and as you remember from before, default. Yeah. So we check if this is blank. Yeah. And if it is blank, then we're going to set the variable to view session. Yeah. Let's get rid. Yeah. Okay. Now, if it is not blank, means that we have a link to our recording. So then I'm going to set my session button variable to watch the video. And this is what I am not too fond of in PowerApps, is once your function becomes long that you have to look at it like this. Good. So we have the if. Now we still have an opening here. So we opened the if here. So it means we also need to close it here. And then, yeah, I don't think we have Ah, awesome. Yeah, honestly, I just saw this right now that I could click format text here and this is really looking so nice now. Thank you, PowerApps team. Good. So now we have that, which means that we should see, based on our clicking, we should see the button change. Good. Let's do that. So I'm selecting this one. Watch the video. View session, view session, view session. Watch the video. Awesome. So our thing is working. Yes, at least it is working in a sense that the text is changing. Yeah. However, we still haven't had the thing where if the text changes, we also need to go to a different link. Yeah. So first, let's start by again saving our Power App. There we go. Good. So how do we do that? So this button basically has an onSelect function, and this onSelect function allows us to run functions when we click on the button. Yeah. So let's first open a link. Yeah. Without the logic. So onSelect. Opening a link is basically using the launch command. Yeah. Ignition. Let's just make it easy. HTTPS. All right. Good. Let's test this just to see that our stuff is working. There. We are so good today. Good. Close it down. So that's nice, but this is not really what we want. We actually want it to open the session. So where is our session? Launch. What is it called? Session link. There we go. Link data card 1, and as we remember, default. Yeah, here we see this is the value, so it is a Teams meeting. So let's start with that. Run this thing. View session. All right, I'm opening Teams. This is the behavior that I want. Good. Close it down. Now, just the same as before, we basically want to know if there is a recording available, and if there's a recording, it should be a different launching. So just like before, we will test recording default. We want to test if it's blank, of course. Go. Then we want to, if it's blank, we want to launch, of course, the session. If it's not blank, then we want to launch our recording. Good. There we go. All right. It's still not. Oh, wait. Yes. There we go. All right. If you have a mistake, the format text actually is not available to you. So that way you will know that that it's fine. Okay. Good. So that means that if we have a recording, that it should open Microsoft.com, because in my list here, when it's a recording, this actually links to Microsoft.com. And if it's not, then it should open Teams. Good, let's test that. But first, since we worked again a bit, we're going to save it. All right. Thank you. Let's run this thing. So we're going to watch the video. Yes, that's good. I was expecting the Microsoft. where we're going to view the session. You're opening Teams. Awesome. This is what we want. Good. So we have our view session button. Now we have one more thing to implement. Yeah. So we still have our button, even though it is hidden, we still have our presentation file. Yeah. And that one, of course, also on unselect. Where is it here? We also want to do something. When it becomes visible, now we don't need to put the whole logic here. Why? Because the button will not be visible. The logic is already in the visibility. So here, what was the field called? Presentation link. Okay, so we're just going to presentation link default. That's it. We will just open the presentation link. So yeah, I'm getting used to the saving, so let's just do it to be sure. We run this thing. Oh, here we had one. Click on PowerPoint. Bam. Yes, very nice presentation that I built specifically for this purpose. Bonsai, it works. Good. So what we have right now is a Power App that allows us to have all the events there, all the different sessions there, a link to the PowerPoint file if there's one available, a link to the video if there's a video available, and a link to the team session if the session did not take place. So we have most of the functionalities now. We only have 5 sessions, so that's nice, works, blah, blah, blah. But what if we have 200 sessions? Yeah. So we need some kind of filtering that we need to be able to do. So let's add the filtering, and then we can basically consider this thing complete. So how do we add filtering? Let's quickly go to the session details, drag it down a bit. Then go to the gallery, drag it down a bit. Is it all? Oh. No, it needs to go down more. No, I'm being stupid. Actually, Control Z works. There we go. Good. So we're going to insert a label here and just drag it across the thing. We're going to change its color to some blue. We're going to change the text color to white. Put it in the center. Call it sessions. Make it a bit bigger, 25. There we go. Good. So now we may need to add a search text field. So how to do this? I think it's like this. Yeah, text input. There we go. So we're just putting it here and to allow you to filter on the sessions. Make it a bit bigger. Can I just, does it still look nice? Bah, it will look nice enough for the video at least. So I'm just going to, there we go. Don't put any text in there because we will be using it to filter. The one thing you can actually do is put a hint text. So search sessions, there we go. Did I type it properly? Yeah, okay, good. No, I don't want to change the font. There we go. All right, now what needs to happen is that the sessions that I'm showing, they will need to be filtered based on what I'm putting in this text field. Yeah, so first one we're going to do is going to rename this and just call it search input. There we go. All right, good. So that's that. Oh, it's very nice here because there's an owl making a strange noise. So I'm trying to do this at the quietest time at home, and now I have an owl adding to the session. Good. So how do we get this thing done? We need to start filtering. Yeah, and how do we filter it? Basically, when we go to this template session gallery list, There we have an items function. And the items function basically defines how I'm going to show the items. Yeah. And I can filter those items. So extremely easy once you know how it works. Filter sessions. And then I just want search input dot text in title. And title is the field for my SharePoint list. That's it. Oh, I need to get rid of that column. All right. So let's see if we get this thing to work. We will run it. So I will just get type first. Oh, this is so awesome. Everything works perfectly. There we go. Basically, this is it. You can, of course, still play around with the look and feel to make this look the way you want it. This allows you to have all the sessions, filter on the sessions. Now we're filtering on the title, but since we have multiple columns, you can filter on the different types of, excuse me, the different types of properties in the list. So on the session type, only show breakout sessions, only show live sessions, etc. I do hope that this gives you a nice feeling on what it could work like. Basically, we're going to save it one more time. Then we're going to publish it. Event demo, publish this version, because now I'm really making it available. If I would go to this might take a little bit. Use web app. All right, this is my demo team tenant. So let's just take one here, general, add. All right, PowerApps. So here I have my event demo video, save, dismiss, all right, close. And here we are. We have our sessions also available in Microsoft Teams. Yes, I know I have the desktop version, but this is different then. So, and there we go. We have it available in our in our Teams. We can also anything where we can integrate a Power App, we can use this, make it available to everyone else. And again, as I said in the beginning, the nice thing about this is that the data is residing on top of SharePoint. So you can also use SharePoint web parts to expose that data as well on top of SharePoint, have custom search result visualizations to make it easy for people to find the information with regard to a specific session. So yeah, unlimited possibilities to extend on top of that. So I hope this video was extremely clear to you on how to approach this, what the advantages are by making use of the SharePoint platform, the Teams platform, and the PowerApps platform. And in the end, I mean, there was a lot of talking, but I think we've seen that it's quite easy to set this up, make it available to everyone else. And I hope to see any examples of you guys building your own things and using this awesome Teams platform to get the knowledge, the information, and also the ease of use to your end users. Have a nice day.